what's my printing process when I do my model. So on this episode I want to focus on one part of the whole process, which is how I find the model, how do I manage my support in Chitubox, how I manage the print at the end. And so we're going to do, instead of doing the whole video of the whole thing, I'm going to do one part for the print and one part for the painting. So in this video we're going to discuss only about the print. The model is Evelyn from League of Legends. It's C4TH, my mini factory, link in the description. Okay, so here we start in Chitubox. First I downgrade the size to 80% because I want to make sure everything will fit. I had to check before off camera and 80% was the right size. You want to make sure everything will fit in the printer. Here on the top of the model, the bust, so what I want to do first is have the right angle. You don't want to print just randomly, you want to find the best angle for avoid to the most fail. So here in this case I try to angle this way, so I have the nose not really like hanging too much. I know I'm gonna have to put some support, but not that much. And most importantly too, I want all those kind of fur behind her to be facing upward, so I don't want any of them to have an island and float. After the right angle I go to auto support, I hit the button and see how it goes. And first thing that I know is like, okay, everything on the face, I don't want it, like all those support, even those tiny behind, that's a big no-no. So I delete everything that I don't need. I look at the bottom, everything is looking fine. There is a bit too much, I guess, like it's too much for my taste. I could have lowered the density on Chitubox, but I'm fine with it for now. And now I'm going back and I just try to adjust what I want. I get a good picture of what this is. Like for example here, what I'm trying to avoid is to have the support getting like stuck to the model. When they're really close to it like this one I just deleted. Sometimes what happens is like on Chitubox they look fine, they look separate, but then when the print is finished, your support is glued to the model. Like you have a full bar really glue on the model. I'm not sure why exactly, because so they're usually really like precise, but some pieces sometimes really get stuck together. I'm not sure what happened when you slice. So here I'm going back on the back side. Here you can see I'm just editing the support. When you're doing this, you're kind of like thinning the cone, so like your support's going to be a bit weaker at the end, but the damage you're gonna have after the spot will be a little bit smaller and sometimes even like almost nothing. So those ones, they're not super important, and I'm going back behind and editing. Here on top of the face, I know I'm gonna need support. Like for example here, the tip, it's an island for sure. So here I just used light support, a really easy one. And you want to make sure the bottom of your support is like a cone as well. You don't want a tripod, like it's basically just more damage for no reason. So having those really small support with cone on top and on the base, that's the best. And here when I'm just checking with the cursor, so I hover the mouse and I just, like you can see the layering, and sometimes you're gonna see the island just coming, it's really obvious. Here I just had the tiny support for the nose, the tip, just in case. And those ones, they're fine. Like you can see after you have your edit, this support is gonna have almost no damage, no impact on the end, so they're pretty good. When you take your time, it's worth it. Like here, when I checked with the mouse, I could see probably an island on the bottom of the glasses. So you just use your instinct, like your gut. You just look around and you're like, okay, that's probably look like a fail at the tip of the glasses or the hair, the nose. And then you just have a look, see if it's fine, and you add the support, or you just delete one. I see people getting crazy, like they had support everywhere, they go back in the file validator and everything. They want to avoid every pixel, every island, but most of the time everything you will print will be fine. Like the big island, they will fail your print, they will like make a mess, but most of the time there is no island. Like everything will be stuck together and will be perfectly fine. Here I'm on the lower body, so I'm going to speed up. It's the same process. After hitting auto support, I delete some stuff and I try to make sure like I have what I need. I add a couple more here even. And delete the useless here. I'm going back and edit some of the support on the side. I just edit the tip again. Here I'm trying to make sure they are not stuck to the model, because one mistake that I made in this whole thing is the density of my auto support is way too much. Like the bottom, it's a cluster of support and it's really annoying to take off, and it's just too much. Even if we don't really see them because they're at the bottom, it's annoying. So here I'm going back on manual on this part of the arm. I had some really simple one, really light support as well, easy to fix. Here I'm doing the legs, so that's the last part of the whole body. The legs are really simple and really easy. You find a nice angle, auto support, I add a couple more and I was done. Here they're kind of tough, those ones. They're not tough to print, but here I had to check beforehand and make sure I could fit both of them on one plate, which is possible, so that's what I'm gonna do now. First I went and scaled down to 80%, try to find the right angle. So I want the tip of this kind of, like the weapon, the tip of the weapon to be facing upward, obviously. And have the base try to lay flat here. And I'm going to kind of mirror the two here. The more you can fit on the plate, the better, especially here. Like I had the printer running for almost every night and day for a couple of days. So when you can fit stuff together, that's really nice. So here when I'm done, you can see the support. There are most of them auto support, but that's enough. So here my prints are finished, so I'm gonna clean the legs first. Just gonna dip first, clean my scraper. I'm gonna start to remove the supports. So here you can see I'm just pinching with my thumb and my finger. I'm just pinching gently and then dip it again in the alcohol. Use the toothbrush, clean a bit. Try to make it clean, and then I clean the build plate. Here on this second part I'm on the tube ribbon. So those ones, they were quite tough because of the support that I had. We talked about earlier, like I had too much supports, and even on those ones I really didn't need that many. I'm really pushing really hard with my thumb here to take them off. That's so many stuff. Here we are back on the leg. What I'm trying to show here is when you're finished with your clean, like when you patch inside the alcohol, wait maybe like 2-3 minutes for them to dry. If you don't, when you're gonna cure, everything will have some kind of white like stain staying on top. I think the alcohol kind of burn and leave some stains, so just leave it to dry, use the UV to cure for a bit, and you're good. So right now I'm going to start the cleaning process. So when everything is cured, all the support gone, now it's time to clean the real mess. All the support, when you remove them, you have either a small bump or a small dent. So as you can see here behind where most of the support were, we can see all the dent or the small bump of support left when you remove them by hand. So I'm gonna take the Exo knife and the file, the sandpaper, and go at it really slow and steady. The good thing is the result is really good. Like there is no failure anywhere, no damage of any trouble. So when you're at this point, you really only have to fix, and they're really minor. On this video, I'm gonna try to like take my time and remove like all those kind of mistakes as the best I can, and try to fix them really good. So here obviously I'm taking my time on the face, and that's the annoying part of any like printer. I think I don't own an FDM printer, but I'm sure it's probably annoying when you have a lot of support. But for resin, yeah, you have to deal with it. Now I'm getting used to it. I know what to expect when the print is done, and with time you try to learn, okay, where is it a good idea to put support, where is it not. Here I'm just going really slow. You need to be careful if you're going really like hard. Instead of cutting the resin, if you're trying to like chip it away, you might just transform a bump into a dent, so you're not really getting anything out of it. So the best is to go a bit slow. Try to scrap the top slowly. Here it's fine, it's just gonna be put over the arm though, so that's okay. After spending a bit of time removing everything, I will move with the file and sand again on top. The reason is I want it to be clean when I'm gonna fill the holes. So here I'm going back, trying to clean everything. And this file is not super thin, like I will have to go over with some really thin sandpaper after. But this one is really good to just blend everything all together. It's like the second step of the cleaning process. Here behind I'm trying to dig inside all the seams. It's looking a bit weird with all the white powder and everything, but because of the grinding, but you with experience kind of know how good is it. Like you start to see what kind of like surface you're getting. For example, here on the legs, it's better to do it here because I just sand on top, and if I have a really smooth result, I know I'm good. I know here if I use the file, try to make it really smooth at first, and then come back later with some good sandpaper, the result is gonna be flawless. So every smooth surface are the best, the easiest one. can go back into some of the seam, redefine a little bit some part of the model. So here you can see I have the cap of the resin, my bottle of resin. So there is always some residue inside, so usually what I do, I just take the cap off, and then with a toothpick I just scrap some resin and apply it in the spot that I need. So here, after sanding and removing everything from the model, the only thing I need to do is fill the hole that I left before. So here I'm just dropping a tiny bit of resin, moving it around, making sure it's what I want. And here on the side of the desk I have my UV lamp, and I'm just curing on the side as I go. So I'm just putting some resin, curing, and going back again. I realized it's not the best to show it on camera that way, but it's just a really boring process anyway. But that's the one you have to. I feel like holes are the most visible things when you left them, so it's better to do it now. You're gonna have to resand after, because the way you're gonna drop the resin, it's still gonna be a bit bumpy, and you're gonna see some kind of layer on top. So after doing it, you come back with sandpaper and you going gently, you're gonna smooth everything out. It seems tedious, but it's worth it and not that big of a deal. Okay, so right here, what I'm gonna show you, it's one thing really annoying. Every time I'm doing like a print and the model is like cut in several pieces, they never fit together. Like they have those really handy like square holes and you can plug it like a Lego, but they never fit. They are so off all the time. I'm not sure what's the problem. Like I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong. Like I know the scale is the same, but I have no idea why when I print it the things doesn't fit. So here first I'm going to sand the two surfaces to make them flat. And then I'm gonna have to either dig the hole or scrap the square first to make sure it's gonna fit this kind of pin. And the thing is, like, I still want to use it. Like sometimes you can remove it completely and just use some glue, but I'd rather have it to add some strength. So I'm just gonna go slowly and remove some resin and then check again, see if I fit or not. But I'm really curious if some of you guys have print before like this. Tell me if it fits, because that's the second time this happened to me and I'm always surprised and a bit pissed because of this. Later on the plates there is some space for the feet as well, and like I think the size is fine, but the placement of it is off by a lot, so it's always weird what happened. It's just annoying to have to fix. So here I think I've checked everything. I've put the proper like fit for all the holes, put my glue, start to make the model come back together. Checking if it's the right fit. So here I have some seam, like you can see on the bust, the belly and on the legs they're gonna have some seam, so you're gonna have to fix those ones as well. Use some glue and some resin. The ribbon, or the scarf, whatever you call it. So here it's the exact same process again and again. I'm going first with the blade, making sure I remove everything that I can, and then I will sand, fill the holes and sand again, make sure everything is good. And this whole process you can repeat as long as you want, kind of like you can just go at it and then see if you like the results. If you want to refine even more, maybe you can go back at it, or if you don't mind too much you can leave it almost as it is. But for this model and the purpose of the video, I'm trying to do a good job of it. like for example here it's kind of under the model. You don't really need to spend that much time on it, but it's good to be perfectionist sometimes. You can see all the support here, like there were way too many supports, and now there's so much damage to fix. Right now I'm sanding the legs, so the seam in between. I had some glue rubbing spilling over, so I'm just trying to make it nice for later. And I'm trying to evaluate like how much I need to fill. Same here for the belly and the arms. I prefer to sand first before I apply some resin and everything. Like you want to make sure it's kind of a clean surface, so to speak. So here I'm just sanding a bit and trying to find how much I'm gonna need to apply. Here the gap in the belly was quite big, so I used some super glue first. And here the ribbon are in two parts, so I'm drilling some hole to use some small wires. Like, I'm not sure if it's really useful, but I think it's gonna add some strength in between when I'm gonna glue those two parts together. It's just to help a little bit. If you can, why not? Take an extra time, but it might be useful. Here when it's done, here I'm applying some resin. I'm just blasting with the UV light now. And here what I want to make sure I'm like over the seam, so I don't want a dip, I want to have more material than needed, so when I come back I can sand it really nicely. And the legs are really nice because, like I said earlier, a smooth surface and curvy, they're really easy to sand and blend together. And at this point of the model, like in between, you don't want the seam to like kind of pop out later on. You want to make sure it's really smooth, and when you apply the paint, you're not going to see something weird in between. So I'm just taking my time, using my finger to check if it's fine. We are still able to see the line a little bit, but it's because of the resin color. Like when you dry it with the UV light, it's not the same color as when it's here, like from the printer. So here it's not the best angle, but I'm just putting resin in the gap and drying slowly. You don't want to apply like a huge amount of resin and dry on top, because you're just gonna cure the top layer. You're gonna have pocket of resin liquid still inside, so you just go layer by layer if you don't want any trouble later on. When I'm done, I'm going back and smooth everything out. I went first with the file to really remove the most material that I have, and then here I'm polishing with the sandpaper. I think it's 100 the grit of this one. It's just the smoothest that I could find, and it's really nice for resin. So here we are, all done. I have all my pieces smoothed out. Not perfect, like it's not completely perfect, but it's fine. Here I went a bit quick on the base because I was a bit pissed off, like the leg didn't match the holes, so I still have the two places for the ribbon to hold. You can see on the sides those dents, the two ribbon really fit perfectly there, and they fit perfectly on the model as well, but for some reason the two fit spots were off, so I just put some resin, flat again, and then instead of like, I had a height difference between the model and the plate, so I sanded the bottom of the shoes a bit, and the height is fine now. Here you can see like those things, they're pretty nice now. Like the flat piece is obviously stuck on the plate, so I didn't bother. But even the bottom curve is really fine. And with the paint on top, it's gonna be just really good. And here we are. The whole model is print, sanded, glued together. I mean, not the whole thing. Like, I kept the model intact like this, and kind of scarf ribbon on the side. And same for the plates. The reason is when I'm gonna paint it, it's gonna be way easier to do everything separate and then put them back all together, instead of having this really like weird shape and then having to go around without really being able to manipulate the model. So try to keep it as separate as possible. It took quite a long time already. It was like 4 prints, 4 or 5, and I managed to squeeze some of them together, but I hope you guys enjoy and you're able to maybe like improve what you're doing when you're printing. And even myself, like, I've learned some mistakes that I've done. So see you in the next part for the painting.